There comes a moment in every person's life, a quiet, almost invisible moment, where everything could change. Not next year. Not someday. Not when things get easier. But right now. Because the truth is, your life is not stuck because of your past. It's not ruined because of your failures. It's not limited because of your circumstances. Your life is waiting, on one decision. Just one. And most people miss that moment. They wait. They hesitate. They overthink. They doubt themselves. And slowly, the life they could have lived fades away. But not you. Not anymore. Because today, you're going to understand something most people never realize. Backhand index pointing right, you are always one decision away from a completely different life. Fire the power you've been ignoring. You think change requires something big. More money. More time. More support. More confidence. But that's a lie. Change doesn't start with resources. It starts with a decision. A decision to stop tolerating what's hurting you. Stop delaying your dreams. Stop believing you're not enough. And start becoming who you were meant to be. Think about it. Every successful person you admire. Every strong person you look up to. Every story that inspires you. It all started with one moment. One choice. One decision where they said, backhand index pointing right, enough is enough. High voltage, your life right now is a result of past decisions. This might be hard to hear, but it's the truth. The life you're living today is a result of the decisions you made yesterday. The habits you kept. The fears you followed. The risks you avoided. The comfort you chose. And if your life isn't where you want it to be, it's not because you're unlucky. It's because something needs to change. And that change starts with a decision. Broken heart, why most people stay stuck. Let's be real. People don't stay stuck because they're weak. They stay stuck because they're afraid. Afraid of failing again. Being judged. Losing comfort. Starting over. So they stay where it's familiar. Even if it hurts. Even if it drains them. Even if it slowly destroys their dreams. They choose comfort over growth. Safety over possibility. And years later, they regret the decision they never made. Light bulb, the truth that can change your life. Listen carefully. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to feel ready. Because you will never feel 100% ready. The only thing you need is the courage to decide. Backhand index pointing right, decide that you're done living small. Backhand index pointing right, decide that you're done making excuses. Backhand index pointing right, decide that your future matters more than your fear. Because the moment you decide, everything starts shifting. Rocket, one decision can rewrite your entire story. One decision to start that business. Quit that toxic environment. Wake up earlier. Take care of your health. Believe in yourself. One decision can lead to another. And another. And another. Until one day, you wake up in a life you once thought was impossible. Fire the turning point. Right now, you're standing at a turning point. You may not see it. You may not feel it. But this moment matters more than you think. Because you have two choices. Backhand index pointing right, stay the same. Backhand index pointing right, or decide to change everything. And here's the truth most people ignore. If you don't decide, life will decide for you. And trust me, you don't want that. Crossroads, the battle inside you. There are two voices inside you right now. One says, wait. It's not the right time. The other says, do it. Start now. One keeps you stuck. The other sets you free. The question is, which one will you listen to? Globe showing Europe, Africa. Imagine your life after that one decision. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking up with purpose, feeling proud of yourself, living without regret, chasing your dreams with confidence. That life is not far away. It's not reserved for special people. It's not impossible. It's just one decision away. Speech balloon. Final words of part 1. You don't need to change your whole life today. You just need to make one decision. One bold move. One step forward. Because that step could change everything. There is a moment. A moment that doesn't look dramatic. No music. No spotlight. No applause. Just silence. And in that silence, you either choose growth, or you choose to stay the same. That moment? It's happening more often than you think. Fire the invisible decisions that control your life. Most people think life changes through big moments. But that's not true. Life changes through small, invisible decisions no one sees. The decision to wake up when the alarm rings, or hit snooze. The decision to work on your dream, or scroll your phone. The decision to keep going, or give up. These decisions seem small. But repeated daily, they shape your identity. They decide who you become. Thought balloon. You are not who you think you are. Let me challenge you for a second. You don't become successful by wanting success. You don't become strong by wishing for strength. You don't become confident by thinking positive thoughts. You become what you repeatedly do. Backhand index pointing right. Your actions define you. Not your intentions. Not your plans. Not your dreams. Your decisions, followed by action, create your reality. High voltage. The dangerous comfort zone. Comfort feels safe. But comfort is dangerous. Because comfort slowly kills your potential. It whispers, stay here, it's easier. Don't try, you might fail. You can start tomorrow. And before you realize it, days turn into months. Months turn into years. And your dreams? They stay exactly where they started. Broken heart. The cost of not deciding. Everyone talks about the fear of making the wrong decision. But no one talks about the cost of making no decision. Because indecision is a decision. A decision to stay stuck. A decision to stay average. A decision to keep living the same life. And the cost? Regret. Deep, painful regret. The kind that hits you late at night when you think. Backhand index pointing right. What if I had tried? Repeat button. One decision can break a cycle. Some of you are stuck in cycles. Waking up tired. Feeling unmotivated. Starting something, then quitting. Doubting yourself again and again. It feels endless. Like nothing will ever change. But here's the truth. Cycles don't break with time. They break with decisions. One decision to stay consistent. Stop quitting. Push through discomfort. That's how cycles end. Brain. Your mind will fight you. The moment you try to change, your mind will resist. It will tell you, this is too hard. You're not ready. What if you fail? That's normal. Because your brain is designed to keep you safe. Not successful. And growth? Growth is uncomfortable. Growth is uncertain. Growth is scary. But that's exactly why it changes your life. Fire. Discipline starts with a decision. People think discipline is something you're born with. Wrong. Discipline starts with a decision. A decision that says, backhand index pointing right, I will do this, even when I don't feel like it. Not once. Not twice. But every single day. Because motivation comes and goes. But decisions? Decisions create consistency. And consistency creates results. Rocket the moment everything changes. There will come a moment where you get tired. Tired of excuses. Tired of waiting. Tired of being the same person. And in that moment, you'll make a decision. A real decision. Not just words. Not just thoughts. But a commitment. And that moment? That's when everything starts to change. Seedling, you don't need permission. Stop waiting for approval. Support. The perfect time. You don't need anyone's permission to change your life. You don't need validation. You don't need guarantees. All you need is a decision. Light bulb, small decisions, big transformation. Let's make this simple. You don't need to flip your entire life overnight. Start small. Decide to wake up 30 minutes earlier. Decide to read instead of scroll. Decide to take action, even if it's messy. Small decisions, repeated daily, lead to massive transformation. Crossroads, who are you becoming? Every decision you make is a vote. A vote for the person you are becoming. So ask yourself, backhand index pointing right, are your decisions creating the life you want? Or the life you're trying to escape? Because at the end of the day, you don't get what you want. You get what you choose. Globe showing Europe, Africa, your future is watching you. Imagine your future self. Stronger. Happier. Successful. Now imagine them looking at you right now. Watching your decisions. Watching your excuses. Watching your effort. What would they say? Would they thank you? Or would they wish you had done more? This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not someday. Right now. You're one decision away. One bold choice. One step. One commitment. From changing everything. There's something nobody tells you about change. It's not pretty. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. And it doesn't feel like motivation. It feels like pain. Broken heart, the truth about growth. Growth is painful. Because growth requires you to let go of who you are. To become who you're meant to be. And that means letting go of old habits. Letting go of toxic people. Letting go of excuses. Letting go of comfort. And that hurts. Fire the breaking point. At some point, you will reach a breaking point. A moment where you feel lost. Tired. Frustrated. Done with everything. And in that moment, most people quit. They go back to what's easy. They return to comfort. They choose the familiar pain instead of the unknown growth. High voltage, but this is where winners are made. Because a few people, a small number of people, make a different decision in that exact moment. When it's hard, they keep going. When it hurts, they push forward. When everything says, quit, they decide to continue. And that decision? That's what separates them from everyone else. Brain, your mind versus your future. Right now, you're in a battle. Not with the world. But with yourself. Your mind wants comfort. Your future demands growth. Your mind says, stop. This is enough. Your future says, keep going. This is just the beginning. The question is, backhand index pointing right, which one will you choose? Thought balloon, you've survived too much to stay the same. Think about everything you've been through. The struggles. The failures. The pain. The nights nobody saw. You didn't go through all that just to stay the same person. You didn't survive that just to live an average life. There's a reason you're still here. And maybe that reason is this moment. Repeat button. The pattern must end. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow. This time will be different. I won't quit again." And then you went back to the same habits, the same excuses, the same life. That pattern? It ends with one decision. A real decision. Not based on emotion, but based on commitment. Crossroads, discipline over emotion. Here's the truth most people avoid. You will not feel like doing the work. You won't feel motivated. You won't feel ready. You won't feel confident. But you don't need to feel anything. Because discipline is stronger than emotion. Backhand index pointing right. Discipline says, do it anyway. Do it when you're tired. Do it when you're scared. Do it when you don't believe in yourself. Because action creates belief. Not the other way around. Fire the identity shift. Real change doesn't happen when you change your actions. It happens when you change your identity. When you stop saying, "I'm trying," and start saying, backhand index pointing right, "This is who I am now. I am disciplined. I am consistent. I don't quit. I follow through." And once that identity shifts, everything else follows. Rocket. One decision, new identity. It starts with one decision. Backhand index pointing right, I am not going back. Not back to laziness. Not back to excuses. Not back to fear. That one decision creates a new version of you. And that version doesn't negotiate with comfort. Tornado. The storm before the breakthrough. Right before your life changes, everything will feel harder. More doubt. More resistance. More challenges. That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're close. Because breakthroughs don't come when it's easy. They come after the storm. Light bulb. You don't need to be perfect. Stop trying to be perfect. You don't need perfect timing, plans, execution. You just need progress. Messy progress. Slow progress. Uncomfortable progress. Because progress is what leads to transformation. Globe showing Europe, Africa. The version of you that's waiting. There's a version of you that already has everything you want. Confidence. Success. Peace. Discipline. That version exists. But the only thing standing in the way is your current decisions. Speech balloon. Final words of part 3. This is the hardest part. The pain. The struggle. The internal battle. But this is also where everything changes. Because in the middle of that struggle, you make a decision. Backhand index pointing right to keep going. Backhand index pointing right to not quit. Backhand index pointing right to become stronger. And that decision will change your life forever. There comes a moment. Not loud. Not dramatic. Not seen by the world. But everything changes. A moment where you stop talking and start deciding. Fire. This is your moment. Right now, as you're hearing these words. This is not just another video. This is not just motivation. This is a decision point. Because after this, you will either go back to your old habits or step into a new life. There is no middle ground. Broken heart, enough is enough. How long are you going to wait? How many times will you say, I'll start tomorrow. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. How many opportunities will you watch pass by? How many dreams will you delay? At some point, you have to get tired of your own excuses. You have to look at your life and say, backhand index pointing right, enough. High voltage, the decision that changes you. Not a weak decision. Not a temporary decision. A real one. A decision that says, backhand index pointing right, no matter what happens. I will not go back. Not when it's hard. Not when it's uncomfortable. Not when nobody supports me. Because this time, you're not trying. You're deciding. Brain, you become what you decide. Your future is not created by luck. It's not created by talent. It's not created by other people. It is created by your decisions. Every single day. So if you want a different life, you must start making different decisions. Repeat button 1 decision, a new life. Let's make it real. 1 decision to wake up early. Stay consistent. Stop wasting time. Focus on your goals. Believe in yourself. That 1 decision leads to another. And another. And another. Until your entire life changes. Seedling, it starts small, but it becomes everything. Don't underestimate small beginnings. Because every big success started small. Every strong person started weak. Every confident person started unsure. The difference? They made a decision. And they stuck with it. Crossroads, this is where most people fail. Not because they're not capable, but because they don't commit. They decide today and quit tomorrow. They start strong and stop when it gets hard. But you? You're not like that anymore. Fire, you don't quit this time. This time. You don't stop when it's difficult. You don't quit when you feel tired. You don't go back when it gets uncomfortable. This time. Backhand index pointing right, you become unstoppable. Not because it's easy, but because you decided it's necessary. Globe showing Europe, Africa. Imagine your life 1 year from now. Think about it. If you make 1 real decision today and stick to it for 1 year, your life could be completely different. Different mindset. Different habits. Different results. Different reality. 1 year. That's all it takes to start changing everything. Light bulb, the secret nobody tells you. Success is not about doing something big once. It's about doing something small. Every single day. And that starts with a decision. A decision to show up. A decision to stay consistent. A decision to keep going. Even when no one is watching. Thought balloon, look at yourself honestly. Right now. Ask yourself. Backhand index pointing right, am I truly giving my best, or just enough to feel comfortable? Because deep down, you already know the answer. And that answer should push you to decide. Rocket, this is your turning point. Years from now, you will look back at this moment. And you will either say, backhand index pointing right, that's when everything changed. Or, backhand index pointing right, that's when I ignored my chance. The choice is yours. Fire, make the decision right now. Not later. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Right now. Decide who you're going to be. What you're going to do. What you will no longer tolerate. Make it real. Make it final. High voltage, say it with me. Say it in your mind, or out loud. Backhand index pointing right, I decide to change my life. Backhand index pointing right, I decide to take action. Backhand index pointing right, I decide to not quit. Because that decision is the beginning of everything. Speech balloon final words. You were never stuck. You were never incapable. You were never too late. You were just one decision away. Fire. And now the question is, backhand index pointing right, what will you decide?